All right, for the sake of time, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to the November membership meeting for North Dakota Local Foods Development Alliance. I'm Jan Stankowitz. I'm one of the board members for NDLFDA. I work for Extension. My office is in Bismarck and I'm a specialist. And I will be the only board member attending today. Everybody else has other commitments, so you get to walk alongside me as I facilitate. So thanks again for being here. Let's just do quick introductions since there's just a small group of us. So if you are comfortable, you can open up your mic and just share your name, your location across the state, and affiliation if you're working with an organization or institution. And then our warm-up question is, in the spirit of all things fall, are you team pumpkin or team apple? So you know who I am, and I choose team apple. And then I'll hand it off to Felicity.
Hi, my name is Felicity Merritt. I am calling in from my home in Fargo, and I am the program manager at Farms. So I work with beginning farmer education and support. And I've got to say Team Apple. I will pass it off to Desiree.
Hello, I am Desiree Carlson. I am north of Minot. Our address is Glenburn, and I work for Strengthen ND as the Strong Farm Incubator Educator. And I'll go into more about that later on. And that is really hard. I love both pumpkin and apple, but I think I'm gonna pick pumpkin. And I'll pass it to Anne.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ann Olson, and I am near Des Lacs, North Dakota, so just west of Minot. And I also work for Strengthen ND. I transitioned from the local foods coordinator to the small farm navigator recently for Strong Farm Incubator. And we also own and operate Hilltop Farm by Des Lacs, a produce operation. And we are pretty much team pumpkin at our house. And I will pass it off to Mary.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mary Poto. I'm not new to the North Dakota Food Development Alliance, but I am a new position. So representing Baldwin Greenhouse and Nursery, my son Jared and his family owned the place, and a connection with Strengthen ND and the Strong Farms. I've recently accepted a position to be an AmeriCorps person for Strong Farms at the greenhouse in this partnership, and we're very excited to tell you all about it today. And like Desiree, I'm a little conflicted. I like them both, but probably apple.
Thanks, Mary. Holiday, how about you? Go ahead.
I'm Holiday. I'm with USDA Rural Development here in Bismarck. I like, let's go with pumpkin, I guess. I don't know. It's hard.
I know these sorts of questions, like we feel like they weigh so much and like we have to get the right answer or something, right?
Meaningful.
All right. Chris, how about you go on ahead?
I'm Chris Gessley. I'm in Mandan here with the North Dakota Association of Rural Electric Co-ops. And I am relatively new to both the position and the alliance. So I'm happy to be here and part of the group. I would say my answer, could I say pumpkin spice? I'm a sucker for that pumpkin spice latte. Nice sweet treat every now and then.
Yeah, we'll take it. We're glad you're here. Thanks, Chris. How about Sandra? How about you go on ahead?
Hi, I'm Sandra Tribally. I'm with North Central Planning Council, and we're affiliated with the Regional Food Business Center. We're working on that right now. I would say I'm a year-round apple person, so this time of year, definitely pumpkin.
Very good. Thanks. Dawn?
Hi, Dawn Rogrud. I'm in Grand Forks here. I'm president for Town Square Farmers Market. And I guess I would say probably pumpkin.
Very good. Thanks, Dawn. Laura?
I have to apologize. I jumped on a few seconds late. What is the question of the day?
Yeah, that's okay. We're just doing name, affiliation, and location. And in the spirit of all things fall, we're picking pumpkin or apple.
Ah, yes. So I'm Laura Weber. I'm with Roosevelt Custer Regional Council, as well as working with Region 7 through Lewis and Clark Development with the Regional Food Business Centers. And so I'll be doing some of that stuff. I have to, specific to fall, I have to do pumpkin too. I kind of agree, Sandy. Like apple's kind of an all year thing for me. So fall is about pumpkin.
Very good. Thank you all for participating in my antics. I just find it funny and so interesting. Thank you. Okay, so then we'll move into more of our agenda, and thanks to Felicity for popping that link in the chat. So we will have, as it was kind of previously mentioned, we've got some updates with Strengthen ND and their Strong Farm Incubator project and program. So presenting today, we've got Ann Olson, who is a large animal veterinarian by trade, turned local foods producer and advocate. She's operated Hilltop Farm in Des Lacs, like she mentioned, with her family since 2016. They sell produce through the Minot Farmers Market. They have CSAs and direct sales, and they're currently working on a produce license to sell to schools. She became the local foods coordinator for Strengthen ND in the fall of 2021 and is now the small farm navigator for the Strong Farm Incubator program. Also with Strengthen ND, Desiree Carlson, a Minnesota native, resides on her husband's family farm in Glenburn. Together, they care for various livestock and lead a community-supported agriculture project. With a solid educational background and a passion for teaching, Desiree aims to apply her expertise by creating educational curriculum, providing mentorship, and instructing interns in the Strong Farm Incubator program as the Strong Farm educator. And also with us is Mary Podall, assisting her son Jared and his family Ashley and Emmett, who purchased the greenhouse a year ago. Mary is familiar with NDL-FDA in her previous career with USDA NRCS. And as you heard, she is also an AmeriCorps staff person. So I will turn it over to the three of them as I work to start sharing my screen, and they can share more about their project.
I'm going to do a real quick introduction, and then I'll turn it over to Mary to lead us through the first few slides. So I appreciate all of you having us, and then you are our first big presentation as we get ready to launch the incubator project. Some of you may have gotten the emails just a few seconds ago about the launch for the internship applicants, and we'll get more into that later. But if you haven't, if you're not on our email list or don't routinely get emails from us, feel free to drop your email in the chat box, and Desiree will gather those while we are getting rolling here. So I'm going to turn it over to Mary.
Thank you, Ann. And good afternoon, everyone. And again, I am very excited to be a part of this project, and I am so proud to be able to open this presentation. This really came together with Strengthen ND, Ann and her ideas, and Megan Laudenschlager and her staff several years ago, as they were making local farms a priority and what needed an education. And Jan, if you would go ahead and change the slide. And I really believe that in a bigger being that puts us all in place at the time we need to be. So just quickly, I have to say, my son and family were looking for a place to buy near Bismarck to expand their produce market. They've been here for a couple of years now. And we knew Melanie and Scott, and we knew they were interested in selling the nursery. but there was no way collectively we could afford it. So when it went on sale, December of 22, we were all very quiet at the holidays. We all knew it was listed, but we didn't even go there. I think it was just all too much to be sad about. And then in January, I think it was in December maybe, or maybe it was right early in January when Anne, or I asked Anne if I could tag along with her to a presentation to the Burleigh County Conservation District down at Minokan Farms. And I got to hear, along with Jay Fuhrer, what had been thought about. And I suppose because all of these things, the synergy and ideas bouncing around in my head, my son called first week in January or so, and he said, there's this lady at work who went to school to be kind of a nursery manager. And she said, if we could find another partner, maybe we could make this swing. Well, I've seen other people come and go with grand ideas, but I knew my son was serious. And he said, do you know anybody? And I said, well, I don't know anybody myself, but I might know somebody who would know somebody. And I called Megan and I said, you know, your project needs land and the Baldwin Greenhouse and Nursery is for sale. And my son would be interested in buying that, but he can't do it by himself. And I promise you, 15 minutes later, Megan was so excited. And if you know Megan, you know that she has this passion and this enthusiasm. And she just said, we're going to make this happen. So it took almost a year, and they continued, they being Strengthen ND, continued to work on what an incubator project would mean to the state. Who would be the students? What would they need to be successful, to be small farmers? What's needed? And we worked on obtaining the land base. And so together, we've purchased the Baldwin Greenhouse, and it will allow the Strong Farm Incubator to have a land base where they can build a building for training, and we'll also have land plots, an acre, 2 acres. Well, maybe start smaller than that. But the Strong Farm Incubator is about finding those people, young people, interested mid-career that want to change and do produce growing or small farms or cut flowers. I'm sure there's tons of other ideas. What Strengthen ND is asked is, we want to be a turnkey operation to support their ideas for 2 to 3 years and give them a sound base for being small farmers, help them grow their network, help them grow their business plan. So that was long-winded for what is Strong Farm Incubator. It's going to be a turnkey place for students, participants, to try to build their dream of growing produce or cut flowers or building their skills, so that when they graduate, we will have given them a network of support, whether it's financial institutions or it's USDA institutions, all of the above. We're going to do everything we can, from Desiree and her education piece to mentoring. That's what Strong Farm Incubator is all about. Next slide. So again, I've already talked about the partnership, but this is a really nice picture because it emphasizes so many pieces of this great puzzle. Strengthen ND and the board was there. We had Anne, both as part of Strengthen ND, but also as a small farmer herself, bringing her skills to the table, and other community members, and Keith Knutson, who is just so supportive in so many ways. This was our grand opening in May of this past year. And it started out as a simple idea, and of the complex issue, and we're very proud that these partners are together. Next slide. So to be very specific, if you haven't met Megan Langley, she is the executive director of Strengthen ND, and she has the skills and the passion for rural communities, for small farms, for agriculture, and she has the business skills. Jared and Ashley Stahl, they have the desire to make the greenhouse very successful, bring their produce operation to full scale, and then to partner with Strengthen ND. We've talked about Anne, and she's going to speak here shortly. She is the kind of the navigator or the brains behind this, and definitely the communicator with Strengthen ND. And then there's Desiree Carlson, who's working very closely with all of us, and Keith, who's a strong supporter, and myself, who isn't afraid to talk to people. That's pretty much my job. I'm going to be talking and mentoring and coaching these people. I won't be doing it for them, but I hope to play a part so that they can be successful. Next slide. Okay, I'm going to turn this over to Anne or Desiree.
All right, thank you, Mary. So Mary did a great job of summarizing the history of the Strong Farm Incubator, of kind of how it got rolling. To back up a little bit more from what Megan's dream was how do we strengthen rural communities? That's what Strengthen ND is all about. And how more specifically do we get more people back on the farmland and into rural farmsteads that will ultimately support their communities? And so she kind of took a step back and said, okay, how do we make this happen? What's the best way to go about it? And kind of when I came on board late in 2021, we started looking at the small producer side of things. And so being a small producer, I've had the advantage over the last 2 years to look at a lot of opportunities in North Dakota, visit with a lot of you who are professionals in the area, supporters of local foods, and also take advantage of a lot of NDSU extension programs and training and things like that, that myself as just a producer may not have taken the time to do myself. And also to look at what could have been useful to me when I got started in 2016. Kind of backtracking a little bit now and trying to build in those pieces of the business puzzle that I maybe was missing. And so how can we help those new producers get off to a better start? Just let's get their business on track right away, treat it like a business, and make it successful. So again, working with the Stolls and Pedals has been wonderful over the last year, and bringing Desiree on. And we'll get a little bit more into how she became a part of it as well here in a couple slides. Jan, you can go ahead and advance. So through my work at Strengthen ND, we've done a little bit in like elder care facilities. How do we get local foods into those places? How do we get them into like the schools in our area? My produce license is required because I live in First District Health Unit. And so things like that. And along the way, over the last year, we did not plan to do a trial internship program. But these 3 wonderful interns, who I now call friends and co-producers, kind of just came my way organically. So they were referred in my direction. Desiree was on our podcast and then was talking about a CSA. So we reached out and said, hey, we've done one before. Can we help? We'd love to mentor. And Cole was one of our first interns. He was recommended by his former FFA advisor. And then Vanessa Rovig is another that we've been working with, and she's getting into garlic production. They all happen to be right in my immediate area up here by Minot. So that really kind of kicked off our program to say, what are their needs? How can we help them? How can we support them? What does that look like? And it kind of gave us a little test run of to what the incubator is going to look like. Go ahead and advance. And just real briefly, besides the input from Stolls and Pedals, the funding sources that we have had on the Strengthen ND side has been the Strengthen ND commitment of $650,000 Agribank just recently gave us $30,000 towards tools and equipment. NRCS, a lot of that is for farm manager positions, the employees, and other funding needs for the incubator of $692,000. And we have other funding commitments that are in the works but are pending, but we are fully funded to go ahead with the program. Next slide. And this is a very brief overview of the intern benefits. In a nutshell, like Mary mentioned, they're going to receive free access to a land plot at Stoll Farm, Baldwin Greenhouse Nursery, and they will have full control over that, making the decisions about what they're going to grow to how they're going to take care of it, how they're going to water, how they're going to pick, and things like that. Then they will have access to at least one farmer's market in the area of their choosing, and support with that picking and selling component, all under the mentorship of all of us, as well as direct mentorship at the greenhouse itself. Tools, seeds, and plant access. Eventually, we are hoping to have more of a wraparound facility that will showcase how do we make value-added products from our local foods. That's a little ways down the road, but that's also part of our plan. We have AmeriCorps positions through Strengthen ND. So I've been working with Beth O'Dallin, our coordinator, and as well as Mary having a position. Our interns will also qualify for positions. So they will receive a living reimbursement and allowance, and then also an educational stipend when they complete the program. So that's a nice addition to the benefits that they're already getting. They'll get the education and mentorship starting after they're selected, some of it online and by Zoom. And then when the weather cooperates and depending on where they're coming from, that on-site mentorship as well. And then, like I mentioned, the membership in the farmer's market. Okay, next slide. And we're all kind of mentioning some of the same similar things, but this is really that launch point for small farmers. How do we foster their unique businesses while giving them a very uniform education so that they all know what is the cottage food law look like in North Dakota? What can I sell? What can't I sell? Where do I sell? Who do I contact if I have a question about SNAP? Who do I reach out to if I want a produce license? And how can I make that produce license happen in a reasonable manner without spending a lot of money? Things like that is what this is all about, is fostering their growth, cheering them on, and then giving them valuable advice that is practical, hands-on learning, on-site mentorship, and then the land access with income potential. They get to take home what they make off of their property. And that is something that will be really unique. We are so hopeful to offer this to new farmers. Maybe it's someone who's a veteran, maybe it's someone coming out of hopefully the Farms Beginning program, a college student. We've reached out to FFA advisors in the areas as well too, because there's some great kids coming through the high school programs that they may know of that could really benefit from this. And then those backyard gardeners who would love to maybe semi-retire and do a little bit of farmers market gardening, but they don't have the space in their yard. And we want to make sure that, maybe after a year they decide this isn't really for them. That's okay too. That's really valuable. And knowing that you've had a chance to try it and maybe it's not what you thought it was going to be, but before you spend a whole bunch of your own money, this is a great way to test it out. And then it's all provided by a supportive community and giving them the tools to succeed. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Desiree.
Okay, so now I'm going to get into a little bit more of the logistics of the actual internship. So the internship is offered as a 2+ year, mostly like a 1 to 3 year program. And throughout the year, we'll have a combination of hands-on experience at the actual Baldwin greenhouse, along with the virtual courses. The virtual courses will be covering a variety of topics that will help prepare them for owning and operating their own farm, as Mary and Ann have kind of already talked about. But the first year, it'll be more of a farming 101 year. And so we'll be doing topics like developing and executing personalized produce growing plans, harvesting, washing, packing their goods, building a business name, logo, website, working on like their marketing materials, and so much more. We got a whole packed list for that first year, but mostly it's just farming and business 101. And then, like Anne was saying, we'll dive into farmers market prep, where they will all be required to participate in a farmers market of their choice. And then, like Anne also was saying, after that first year, if they're still interested and they, thought, wow, this is great, this is really something that I want to keep moving forward on, then we will invite them to move into more of an advanced program. And this is where we'll start talking about deeper farming practices, more marketing and budgeting, and things like CSA programs, making those food safety plans, and getting into like farm to school programs. And then after the year 2, the year 3, we will be there to mentor the interns and just help them and assist them in finding land access across North Dakota. You can go to the next slide. So if you got the email like a couple minutes ago, you'll know that applications are now open. The due date is December 15th. We will notify those applicants on December 20th if we'll be moving forward with them. And then after the holidays, we'll start doing formal interviews where we'll get to know them more, and choose our interns. And then classes will start at the end of January next year. And then these are the different ways you can apply. You can contact one of us. Our contact information is on the next slide, but otherwise the emails did just go out. If you didn't get the email, you can put your email in the chat and we can make sure to send it your way. And then there's also the actual link if anyone wants to like screenshot that or take a picture of it. But yeah. And those are the contact information. Yeah, thank you. And then I can open it back up to Mary or Anne if I miss anything, and then we can take any questions.
And Desiree and I were visiting this morning about how we'll be excited to come back in a year from now and share how the first group of interns is done.
I have a question. This is Sandy Shively. Approximately how much land are the interns, do they have available to them?
We've set aside up to 2 acres per participant, but we anticipate the first year it'll be closer to a smaller amount, just as they get started, and we want them to be successful. And if we find that one of the participants has a really good plan for maybe a small animal place operation, we might be able to do some of that on that property. So we want the participant to tell us what he or she wants to do, and we have some flexibility in that.
What's the capacity for those interns? Like, how many would you be able to take on?
We can take up to 5 per year.
Gotcha. Thanks.
You guys mentioned possibly like working in AmeriCorps term into the internship program. Do you see that as, would that be in the first year, second year, third year? And who would they be serving the AmeriCorps term for?
They will be, we don't have all of the details finalized yet with Beth. She's still working with her program coordinator, but they're going to come in a little bit different term, like a January through September kind of timeline, or October, end of October. And then that will be all under Strengthen ND.
Okay, so it would be a separate opportunity for interns. It's not.
Yeah,
Okay,
and they don't have to participate, but if they need that additional funding or stipend to help with lodging expenses, we are working on some opportunities to hopefully find some lodging for them if they're coming from out of the area. If they don't have a location to stay, but hopefully that would offset some of those costs if needed.
This is Laura. So that kind of leads into maybe my question I had in regards to working with individuals that aren't located geographically, around Baldwin's greenhouse. Is there going to be opportunity for them to access some of these resources if they cannot physically come to you? Maybe
As
they
part
already
of
have land, but would still benefit greatly from the process.
Yes. And when we worked with our 3 first interns, they had that great advantage of already having their land in place, and they didn't have to worry about that component. It definitely does make it a lot easier to mentor them because they don't have to worry about that side of it. So as part of our NRCS grant, we also are committed to doing as much outreach as possible. So this last summer, we worked with Amanda Olson, DPI farm to school coordinator, and then Keith Knutson and First District Health in the Minot area. And we had a couple sessions of meetings and farm plan writing workshops to kind of kick off those producers in the area that are currently producing that are interested in getting that produce license. So things like that, we can definitely see continuing. And that we've also talked about some of our sessions for the interns could potentially be open to others so that it's not, we're trying to just access and share as much information as possible. We're so much better when we share information and experiences together, because we can't all make all the mistakes ourselves. And if we can kind of speed along their business plan with the help of each other, that would be the best case scenario. So yeah, we definitely want to share as much information across the state. Anyone who's interested and willing, we are working on that side of the website. And then anything that will be shared at those meetings and sessions, we're hoping to then right away get uploaded onto our website for access.
Awesome.
That brings up another question I have, Anne. In some other conversations we've had with some local farmers who might have land of their own that they aren't able to utilize at this point in time, would you see it a possibility for, like, if their land could be a part of this, if it's not, if it's not convenient or feasible for an intern to be in Baldwin, like, would that be something that a current farmer could maybe partner with the project and have their land be leased or utilized or something?
Absolutely. And that's kind of in the long-term plan, a couple years down the road, is that land link piece. Like us kind of taking on a couple interns this last year informally, I think we would be very willing and excited to help foster those relationships if possible, and to make those kind of things happen so that we can keep growing our new producers in the state.
Yeah, that's so great. So it sounds like with the project, there's definitely lots of opportunities and ideas, and it can feel like when you're in it, it can feel a little bit like loose or wobbly because there aren't such, like, lots of times we're used to having very strict guidelines and regimens if it's grant funded or government funded or something. And so when it's a little bit more open and vague, it can feel a little bit funny, but it seems like you guys have done that on purpose so that it can accommodate all sorts of needs and growth and adjustments along the way. That's very cool. All right. Any final questions for Desiree, Ann, or Mary? All right. So hearing none, thank you so much to Desiree, Ann, and Mary for presenting and sharing your insight and allowing for a little bit of conversation around it. Again, yeah, reach out to them. Contact information is being shared, and I'm sure we'll continue to hear more about the project. So thanks so much. Next up on the agenda, I have Chris with NDAREC talking about some surveys.
Yes, thank you. Can I share my screen?
You should be able to.
Okay. So we just got done viewing a nice looking engaging PowerPoint. I'm about to share with you a Word doc. So my apologies. Let's see here. I think we're showing the right thing here. You seeing this Word document right here with the cursor on it?
No, we're not seeing anything quite yet.
Okay. There, should be showing now.
Yes.
Awesome. So this is not the survey. It's just kind of a rundown of talking points about the survey. And so I will just share, as you mentioned, it's a local food survey intended to be statewide with the goal of learning what North Dakota local food producers are growing, raising, which production methods they're using, and then what their capacity is for production. The survey consists of 40 plus questions, and it'll be launching Thursday and closing December 11th. And it originally planned to launch Monday, and there's some press out there actually that communicates that it was launching November 13th. But we had some question finalization to do, so it's pushed back a couple days, and I think that's okay because I don't think people are scrambling to the web to find it, and it'll be emailed out to producers once it launches. So partners in the survey, we have the North Central USDA Regional Food Business Center, farms, NDAREC, and then Farm to School, which is Department of Ag, Extension Office, and the DPI. And that's really cool because this makes it one survey instead of each organization sending out their own producer survey at different times, hitting the same audiences and resulting in survey fatigue, which is a very real thing. And a huge thank you to farms. They did a lot of heavy lifting, Felicity and Stephanie in particular, in developing this survey, getting the questions tightened up and getting all this input from these different partners into the survey. So it's been extremely valuable and helpful. So just a few survey objectives, what we're hoping to learn. Just what producers are growing, what the current supply of local food is basically. Is the supply currently meeting, exceeding demand, not meeting demand? We're going to gauge supply quality and if variety is meeting demand. And then we'll get a handle on the value chains that currently exist and interest in scaling up. And if they have the ability to scale up, and if they do, and there's an interest in that, then we'll look at if there's any barriers to doing that. Then we'll look at if producers are aware of market demand and if they know what consumers want, and then what kind of infrastructure they may need with their operations. We're also going to look at the marketing of their products and if they are currently marketing and how they're going about that. And collaboration is obviously a big thing of the local food value chains and in the survey development, and it's no different in the measurement that's involved with this survey. So we're going to see if producers are collaborating, what's preventing them maybe from collaborating, and if they are, and what's incentivizing that collaboration. And then we're going to ask about the income, if they're getting, if that's sufficient. So next steps after the survey launches and then closes December 11th, we'll do some quick data analysis. And I say quick because currently the regional action plans are being developed as part of the Regional Food Business Center, and those are due at the end of the year. So these results won't be in time to really heavily influence those action plans, but we'll get them some kind of high-level insights from this survey at the very least. And then some more in-depth analysis will inform the statewide action plan that's being put together here at the association. And just real quick, I listed some objectives of the North Central Regional Food Business Center, and which you all are familiar with. And my ask of this group then would be to share this survey. Once the link comes out Thursday, maybe I can circulate to this group. Jan, would that be okay if I would share the link with you and you send out to the group, or should I send to the group, or how would you recommend we go about that?
Yeah, there's a couple of ways, Chris. If you or Lori are familiar with the ability to put an update on the local food development website, you could sure do that. And we can probably put it in the minutes as well for this meeting. Felicity, do you have other ideas?
I was gonna say the ND Local Food Gmail account would probably be a good contact for the organization, just because I know we don't have like a full-time one person who's in charge of everything. So that might be a good way to just send it to the that email.
Okay, sounds good. So would Lori or I send from that account, or would we be in touch with someone who would send that?
Oh, it would be that you send the survey to that email. So it's ndlocalfood@gmail.com. Yep. And then we can get it out to our listserv.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And, just share, the link with your networks. Take the survey if appropriate. And yeah, and that wraps up the details of the local food survey going on here soon. Are there any questions? Oh, thanks for the time.
I just actually have a quick question. Once the survey is complete and you guys get that data, what does it look like? Is that data then accessible to other organizations? Is that something you guys are doing for your own programs?
We'll definitely utilize the data for our own programs, but yeah, in terms of the availability of the data, we will make it as available as we possibly can. What form that will be, I'm not sure yet. We've yet to fully hash that out. But the short answer is yes, it will be available. But in what form, I can't tell you yet, but stay tuned.
Yeah, that's a good question, Don. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I think that the survey was, primarily developed as part of the Regional Food Business Center. So they think that partners within that project would be the core people who would get data, but we will definitely make sure that it's published as, and like Chris said, in whatever form that is, with other organizations, if you would like it, and I'm sure we'll have it up on the website and accessible there as well.
Yeah, thanks. I guess I'm just in my thought process, just to kind of know, so you guys know where I'm at. I know on the eastern side of the state here, at least in the Grand Forks region, there is kind of a lack of produce farmers. And so I would be curious to see the data behind all of that, because I know it's been a goal for myself to increase people actually wanting to do and be a part of produce growing, whether that's in their small gardens at home or on a larger scale.
I think it'll be really interesting the way we have the survey set up right now. It asks, we're keeping it as anonymous as possible, but we do ask them to identify their county. So we will be able to kind of sort all those results by county and see, you know, where, in what areas do we have more local food producers or less? And, you know, how does that correspond with population? Or are there certain resources that are accessible in some areas or not others? So I think that will be really, really interesting to see. So we are having them identify the county that they're located in, and then more, I think we optionally asked that they could provide more specifics if they were interested in, but just to keep it anonymous, that was the only question that we were requiring about their location.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully it does shed some light on who's located where. And maybe this would even spur some interest in that region, Don. And I forgot to mention too that there is a $100 gift card incentive, or there'll be a drawing for 3, I believe, $100 gift cards from among the respondents. So, so that's a little incentive for people filling it out.
Great. And then that also brings up another thought, Felicity, when you talk about, you know, sometimes some sensitive information, not sensitive information, but just information that isn't normally widely shared, which is like the data around, you know, sometimes acreage, sometimes sales and profits and that sort of thing. Completely understanding that it is an extension on the farmer's part to provide that information, but also knowing that in order to have any sort of statewide data, if you know, projects like Strengthen ND's project or other organizations that in the state are looking to kind of expand and grow and really make an impact on the local food system, that data is just so incredibly important in that process. And so if there are ways that we can, you know, continue to spread the word and encourage that, and I think back to Dawn's question is like, what are we going to do with this information? How is it going to be shared back? I think that helps with ensuring those survey participants that this is how your information is being used, and this is, you know, what we are doing with it and what we aren't doing with the information is just really helpful to get those survey responses too. Any other questions for Chris? All right, thanks again so much, Chris. Very helpful. So we know when emails are sent and things are passed around that we can have an understanding of what's going on, and the collaboration amongst all the groups to put forward one survey is just going to be really handy for those local farmers. So thanks so much.
Thanks for the time.
Yeah. Final section of our agenda is just member updates and NDLFDA updates. So I will just lead off that the Local Foods Development Alliance is currently and actively searching for board members. If your organization know of anybody, there was also another email just sent out recently asking for some nominations. So it can be self-nominated. You can nominate somebody else if they're interested. There is an application form that's in the agenda. There is, you know, some time commitment. There's quarterly board meetings, monthly membership meetings, and then any in-between work that should and could happen around emerging kind of needs and events. So if you would just be so kind to consider, you know, people who might be interested in that, we are looking for those. It is open. We don't have a deadline. It's just open until we get them filled, and appreciate your guys' help in finding and recruiting folks. And then as far as the NDSU extension update, we are hosting farm to school conversations across the state in the next several weeks. I'll post some dates and locations in the chat box with a website for the events and registration. They're free, no charge, but registration is just kind of appreciated so we can get an estimate for numbers. Lots of the information that you've heard in this meeting will be shared as far as the surveys and farm beginnings classes and that sort of thing. But we're partnering with Department of Ag and Department of Public Instruction to kind of, you know, get a little bit more movement around farm to school in the state. So stay tuned for more around that. And then I'll open it up for others if they have other organizational updates.
I will just share briefly an update from farms. We are taking applications for our Farm Beginnings class right now. Our Farm Beginnings class is a business planning class for beginning, or I mean, even if you've been farming for a couple of years, it's a good fit. It's mostly online. We are doing an in-person kickoff this year to meet everyone in the class, but all of the educational content is delivered online, so it can be done from anywhere in the state. And applications are open now through the end of November. So if you know of any beginning farmers who would be a good fit, send them my way.
Thanks, Felicity.
Just a quick shameless plug, as part of the Regional Food Business Center's grant and situation, we are doing our community input meetings. Region 8's will be November 28th in Dickinson in person, and then Region 7's we're doing on November 30th in Mandan at the NDAREC's conference room. So thank you very much, Chris, for the help with that and getting that set up. We are also providing in virtual option via Zoom on December 4th for those two regions. So if you know anybody in that area, in those arenas that are wanting to put some additional input into that action plan for those areas, that would be greatly appreciated. Be checking social too. I'm hoping to get it pushed out that way. So more details there.
You mentioned the social. Is there a website or registration, or is it just open?
We did go ahead and create Eventbrite ticketing, of course, you know, just to kind of track for interest. And so Roosevelt Custer's Facebook page does have the live event and information on it. I'm working on getting that all up to date on Lewis and Clark's for Region 7, but hopefully I can get that and then make sure that gets out to you guys as well.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Laura.
The Region 3 meeting is actually this evening. When I'm done here at 3, I have to go to the college by 3:30 for our meeting tonight.
Thanks,
Sandy,
Sandra.
how many do you have registered?
16.
Awesome.
Yeah,
good.
and then I'd say a lot of them are in person. So there, I mean, I'm looking at my spreadsheet here that I was provided. There was 3 that I couldn't really tell, but so
That'll be
hopefully.
good.
Awesome. And then Sandy, for those of us who haven't memorized the regions, where is Region 3?
Region 3, our office is in Devils Lake, but it's Rolette, Towner, Cavalier, Benson, Ramsey, and Eddy County.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll put that as required study. Everybody memorizing the region out. After we get through this whole shindig we're doing.
I know. And then it overlaps with things like how extension is divided up and how like
Uh-huh.
social, like human service zones are divided up. And yeah, good grief.
Makes me giggle.
Yeah. It's topography in another sense.
Felicity, are you doing the online portion of our meeting?
I will be, yes. I will be facilitating the online portion of the Region 3 meeting tonight. So if you want to
We'll
hang
see
out
you
with me
later
more,
then.
you can.
All right. Any other updates? All right. Well, hearing none, we'll kind of wrap up and get everybody sent off. But it is kind of interesting to see how things, just kind of like it feels like local foods and that sort of thing has just kind of been circulating in a lot of different areas across the state for a number of years. And it's just kind of exciting to see those like little circles kind of getting closer and closer together. So with all of these conversations, with all of this work, the projects that are kind of overlapping and alluding to kind of what Mary shared at the beginning is, or maybe it was Anne who said, like just sharing and partnering and collaborating, it really does help move the needle a little bit further. So I appreciate everybody's time and attention today. And we look forward to, there's no member meeting in December for NDLFDA, but we will be meeting, next meeting is January 16th. So hopefully I will see many of you before the new year because that seems like a really difficult thing to swallow right now. So you guys all take care and have a good day.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Jan.
Bye.
Thank you.